Boy, oh boy, do I have something special for you folks today. Zorro, the fox so cunning and free. Zorro, he makes the sign of the Z. I'll stop singing now. I'm just so excited to have this. So this is, Zorro. There we go. Specifically says it's Don Diego de la Vega, so you know exactly which Zorro it is, because of course many have won the Mask of Zorro. But yeah, this is the original one. This is Diego. This isn't any specific movie version of Zorro or anything like that. It's just a standard classic Zorro. So you could really imagine this could be about anybody, I guess. But let's go ahead and open them up. There's some nice artwork, but I'm gonna show that off a little bit more once I take this out of the package. So you can actually, this is designed to be resealable package, so you can slide this card out. And this is made by Boss Fight Studios, who are the makers of some fine action figures. They've worked with Marauder Task Force to make some of their action figure stuff. And you know I love Marauder, and I've bought like a few blanks so I can make customs with some of the boss fight stuff with the hacks, and I made show you right now. I got one of them right here. I made this Snake Eyes, my 1985 Snake Eyes. I made him using a Boss Fight Studios blank body, the black one, obviously, and used some Marauder gear and a Hasbro head. And this bandolier comes from Hasbro. Marauder grenade clip to hold the sword in his back. And normally I have him holding an Uzi, but I don't know where the Uzi is right now. It must have fallen out of his hand when I put him into the pile of action figures that's there that I was messing around with. But the card is some pretty firm cardstock. It's got some really nice artwork, like I mentioned on there. Hopefully I can get it where you can see it without the glare. And this artwork was done by a fellow named Ty Romsa, I think that is. Well, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly. But look, it's got credits for like everybody that worked on this figure, and everybody that worked on the packaging, and even the guy who wrote the bio on the back, which I'll go ahead and read you the bio on the back. Thieves and enemies of the people cannot long escape my vengeance. Don Diego is the son of California's largest landowner, Don Alejandro de la Vega, and was sent to study in Spain as a young man. While residing in Madrid, he learned the art of la verdad, la verdadera destreza. I guess that means sword fighting. He learned the art of sword fighting and became an accomplished equestrian. That means horseback. Horse rider is equestrian, in case you don't know. You learn something new every day on my show, huh? It's almost like I'm Mr. Rogers. Can you say equestrian? I knew you could. So, alright. Called back home by his father, he found California to be much changed. Corruption was rife amongst government officials. Military officers enforced tyrannical order and squeezed taxes and bribes from the peons. Diego, angered by the suffering of the poor, donned a mask and black attire, becoming a champion of the oppressed. As Zorro, he uses his skill with a blade, acrobatic abilities, and strategic mind to confound his foes. Now, who does that sound like? Who does that sound like? Yeah, in order to protect his true identity, Diego plays the part of a cowardly fop when in public, refusing to wear a sword unless as a fashion accessory. He feigns to tremble at the bandit's name when in polite company, and declares his tiredness and boredom with life at every opportunity. Something tells me. uh, he pretends to show no interest in the suffering of others, deflecting inquiries on the subject with a rapier-sharp retort or witticism. By night, however, things are very different. So basically what it's telling us is Zorro, by day, pretends to be like a bored rich guy, and by night he dons a dark costume and mask and fights crime. So, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, in actuality, of course, Zorro was one of the biggest inspirations for Batman. I'd say probably the biggest inspiration, except for maybe the Shadow. But, yeah, in fact, in the comic books, because of this, it's become established as tradition that, Bruce Wayne's parents took him to see the Mark of Zorro, the Tyrone Power one, when his parents were killed. So, alright, so we got him out of the package. So this is just like a little clamshell thing, and the tray fits in there pretty nicely. There's actually two trays here, because one has the figure, and the extra head, and the hat. And the sword would be in there if it hadn't fallen out. Which, here it is right here. We'll take a closer look at that in a second. So, okay, so there was a little bit of a blip there, but you didn't miss anything, I promise. Alright, so, and then this tray has the figure stand, two extra hands, and Zorro's Black Whip. Zorro's Black Whip was the name of a movie serial, which did not have Zorro in it. It had a character named the Black Whip, and she was a female character. So she oftentimes gets credited as being the first female Zorro on screen, but technically she wasn't a Zorro at all. Her name was the Black Whip. And that movie, I suspect what happened with it was made to be a serial about a character named the Black Whip, and they decided they could make more money if it were based on Zorro. But anyway, here's Zorro's Black Whip. And it's a firm yet flexible plastic. And you can see that it's got, the strands at the end like a bullwhip. So, whoosh. And from what I understand, it is actually able to coil up fairly well. So, we'll just coil that up for now. And let's see, the other pieces in here, there's the two hands. And these are both open hands that are splayed open. So, that'll give us some extra display options, which I like having display options. And we'll go ahead and get the stand out, which says the name of the line, Hero Hacks. I believe that the whole line is considered to be hacks, and there's Vitruvian hacks and other variations on it. This is Hero Hacks, so this is for pulp characters and comic strip characters. So we've got guys like Tarzan and the Phantom and Flash Gordon, and it looks like it's going to be a really cool line. I'm really excited about it. I'm thinking about all the characters they could potentially make. Like, what if, if you already got Flash Gordon and the Phantom, you might as well make Mandrake and Lothar finish out the Defenders of the Earth. You could do the Shadow, you could do Doc Savage, Conan the Barbarian. That would be a cool one. And I figure, if you're doing Zorro, do the Lone Ranger and Tonto. Because I kind of consider those characters linked in a weird sort of way. Like, they're not officially part of the same canon or universe, but they're similar enough characters that I feel like they go together. They're almost like the Superman and Batman of Western characters. Alright, so here is the extra head, which this is an unmasked Don Diego head. And he's got like a broad grin on his face. And it's a pretty good looking head. It doesn't look like any particular actor that played Zorro. So it's not like any likeness of any of them. I guess maybe it looks the most like Guy Williams, but his hairline I think is a little higher than Guy Williams. But it's a nice Don Diego head. You can see that it has a little ball joint at the bottom. And I'm guessing that's how they intend for you to swap out the heads, is to, use that ball. Each of these has like a barbell in there, like a barbell ball joint. And so here is Zorro out of the package. And there's a lot of nice detailing to the costume. Lots of folds in the cloth. You can see that he has lacing at the collar. And Zorro's face is much more stoic than Diego. But they still look to me like they could be the same man. So that's that's something that's important. Let's go ahead and swap out the heads real quick. And the Zorro head pops off very easily. You see the same barbell there. And I'm going to remove the cape. Now this cape fits into the back on a little peg, like a G.I. Joe backpack, and it's in there really firmly. So yeah, this is the cape, loose, and you can see it's got like a black cord that's connected by 2 silver clasps. So it's a nice, classy looking cape. His joints aren't too terribly tight that I can tell, at least not so far. And it's an all black costume. It's all molded in black plastic. And I don't believe that there's any paint on this at all, except for the flesh color at the neck. But yeah, everything else looks like it's molded in this black plastic. I would have liked, if I could have made a suggestion before this figure was produced, I think I would have liked to had like a little bit more of a glossy black paint on the boots to help them shine a little bit more. But that's just a nitpick. That's just me looking at it as like, here's something I would have done. But, maybe they just needed to save a couple of bucks. And that was a good way to do it. So, even still, like, I'm pretty sure this isn't painted at all. It's just molded this way. But it does have, like, a little bit more of a sheen to it than the pants. Just not as glossy as I would have thought. So let me put the Don Diego head on there so we can see how he looks as Diego. And this is, oh, I see what happened. The ball joint flipped back towards the chin. I want it to be as far away from the chin as possible, so I can very easily pop it on. There we go. And I suppose if you just really want to pretend that's Diego, like, you can, but it's not really a very good civilian outfit for him, because it's just the same as Zorro's outfit. But I would think somebody who was a talented customizer, like myself, could potentially repaint this and make him into a more, a regular Diego figure. You might want to swap out some other parts to it, but you could probably use this body as a base. I'd maybe put a vest on him or something like that. It would definitely wind up being a more casual version of Diego than, the fine suits that he wears a lot of the times. This would be something where he's like hanging out at the tavern or something. But yeah, so that's what he looks like with the Diego head on there. Let's put the Zorro head back on there. I'm not gonna bother with the cape right now. And then we'll go ahead and put on his hat so we can see what he looks like while he's wearing his hat. And I believe that the hat is supposed to face this way. It looks to me like this side of it is more intended to point towards the front, although I may be mistaken. And it might work just as well either way. And once the hat is on his head, I accidentally pulled it off there. Let me get it on there. I'm trying to see how firm it stays on there. It doesn't seem to stay on there as firm as I would like. It's not loose exactly. It'll grip to the head, but, put a little bit of weight on it and it's been popping off. Now I think I got it on there good. But yeah. I might consider gluing it. But if I do glue it, I'm going to wait until after I get the Zorro that comes on the horse. So that way I can have a Zorro that you can take his hat off. Because sometimes he goes without the hat. And sometimes he has the hat on. and it would be good to have both looks. But I would also like to have a Zorro where the hat is like very firmly on and it's not going to come off accidentally. So that's what he looks like with the hat. I think the hat looks really good. While I don't believe that this is supposed to be any specific movie or television version of Zorro, I do think that with the hat on, now he looks a little bit more like Duncan Reger, I think his name is, from the Family Channel show. The hat is definitely done in the style of his, with these little silver decorations on it. It looks a lot like the one that he wore. And, now the head sculpt looks a lot more like him, just with the hat on. So, let's go ahead and put the sword in his hand. Actually, let's look at the sword first before I do that, because there's some interesting stuff going on here. You can see that it's got this hand guard. It's got a cross guard, and it's got a hand guard here, which you can see is at kind of a slight angle. And this part of the hand guard connects straight to the sword. It just goes from, top to bottom, straight up and down. But then there's this little extra piece of hand guard here, which I think is interesting because it makes kind of a Z reminiscent. It's not like a perfect Z because it doesn't finish out at the bottom really, but it looks slightly like a Z, just in like a subliminal sort of way, and I think that's really cool. So let's see if we can get the sword in his hand. One of the other reviews that I'm going to take his hat off so I don't drop it. One of the other reviews that I'd seen had said that it's kind of difficult to get the hand to hold the sword just because it's so tight, and you've got these extra pieces here. Thankfully, this piece seems to be kind of flexible. The piece I was talking about, the little Z piece. So you can kind of bend that out of the way if you need to. All the rest of it seems to be like a very firm sort of styrene type of plastic, which should hold its shape very well, but I am a little concerned that these pieces here might be a little delicate, and I'm worried about breaking them. So I'm going to be really careful with this sword, and just kind of try to work it into his hand. I'd seen where people were talking about how they had to kind of pry his hand open a little bit, but I'm kind of used to that on these modern action figures. At least they grip their weapons well, so he should be able to grip his weapon pretty well once I get it in there. And yeah, there he is holding the sword, except for I think that he's actually got a trigger finger. Yeah, he's got a trigger finger, and I think I had that folded up around the sword the wrong way. What I'm going to do this time instead is I'm going to put it in facing this way, which is actually backwards. Because, you want this extra part of the handguard to be on the outside of his hand. But yeah, you can, that's going to be an easier way to do that. If you put it in there backwards, and then just turn it around in his hand like that, so the outer part of the handguard is facing the correct way. And man, that is a beautiful looking sword. And he looks really cool holding it. Even without the full Zorro costume. This would also be, really good if you wanted to make a custom of the Dread Pirate Roberts. Wesley from Princess Bride. Hell, like this, it could look like Inigo if he takes over the role of Dread Pirate Roberts, like they suggest might happen in the movie. But yeah, so let's see if we can get him into, if we can get him into, a kind of a classic fencing position. It does look like the wrist swivel, the wrists swivel out this way, so you can get him pointing the sword a little bit more. And just for funsies, let's go ahead and change out one of these hands, and it should just pop right out. That's usually how these Hacks figures work, because they're made to be customized. And that'll give us a little bit more of a dramatic flair. Or, if you want to, you can keep the other gripping hand on there, and you can have him hold the whip and be using both weapons at once. So that's kind of cool. Now let's, just to make sure we got the full effect, now that I got the sword in his hand, let's put the cape back onto him, and we'll go ahead and put the Zorro head back. And then let's go ahead and put the hat onto his head. And now we have, in all of his glory, Senor Zorro. And he looks really cool. So, when he's not using his sword, we can go ahead and take it out of his hand. And And again, the same way, I'm twisting it around and pulling it off that way. There actually is like a little bit of a scabbard here. It's just a little bit of a loop that you can insert the sword into, and then he can have his sword down at his side. And since we've got the sword out of his hand now, let's put the whip in his hand. And I bet we can get like a really cool whipping pose out of him too. So this will be like right after he cracks the whip. Or if we turn it around this way, let's turn his head, and then he can be like threatening to whip somebody, or about to whip, one of the edges of the building and swing across. Like, how sometimes he'll whip like a pillar that's sticking off of a building, or kind of a what do you like the beams that stick off the building, or like a gargoyle or something. He'll whip it and swing across to the next building. Just something else. Batman stole that from Zorro. Except for he has an actual grappling hook. But yeah, Batman just so hero worshipped this guy. It was the thing that changed his life and made him into the man that he is today. Batman would be nothing without Zorro. So this is an excellent action figure, and it's kind of a pricey action figure. I'm not gonna lie, especially for a 3 3/4 inch figure. But the quality is so excellent that I can't even complain about the price. So he's got the whip, and he's got the sword, which is the most famous weapons of Zorro. He's got the hat, which looks great. He's got the cape, which if I had any complaints, maybe this cape is a little too stiff. That's probably why they gave the horse, the Zorro that comes with the horse, with Tornado, he comes with a fabric cape. That's probably why they did this, because he would not be able to sit on Tornado with this cape. It's very stiff. It's one of the stiffest plastic capes I've ever had on an action figure. It's not the stiffest, but it'd probably crack the top 5. He's jointed in that kind of, standard sort of style of like a modern era G.I. Joe, or like, the other Vitruvian Hacks figures. So you've got like joint here, move the arm up and down, the arm rotates 360 degrees, elbows rotate 360 degrees, and have another joint here, joints at the legs. It's all these really good joints, and double joints at the knees, so you can get lots of really good action poses out of him. He's going to look great on the horse when I get the one with the horse. Like, I think I could probably get some really good horse riding poses out of him. And this is well worth the price that I paid. It's a great figure. I'm really happy to have it. Like I said, there is another one that's available that comes on a horse. So if you want the horse, you're going to wind up buying another Zorro. So some people might take a pass on this one. But the two do have like some slight differences. I think it's going to be worth it having both of them personally. The main thing I can think of is that one has a fabric cape. That one has a red sash. And it does not come with the Don Diego head. So if you want this Diego head, this is the only way to get it right now. Really cool figure. I'm definitely looking forward to get more of these, like Flash Gordon, the Phantom, Tarzan. I'm really excited to have these characters, and I hope they make a lot more. So that's pretty much it for this time. I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night. I'm pretty tired. I want to go to sleep. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like and comment, and all the fun YouTube stuff that lets YouTube know that somebody actually watched this. And one other thing, if you're still watching this, do me a favor and leave a comment in the comment section and let me know who your favorite actor is that played Zorro. Because that tells you something a lot about a person. I don't know who my absolute favorite is. I'm kind of leaning towards Guy Williams. I think Guy Williams is kind of like the quintessential Zorro. He was kind of the best all around Zorro. I think that Tyrone Power was probably my favorite Diego, but Guy Williams was my favorite Zorro, if that makes any sense. So, and there's been lots of good Zorros. You know, you had Antonio Banderas, and of course the guy who started it all was Douglas Fairbanks. You know, Anthony Hopkins is an underrated Zorro because he played Zorro for a little bit at the beginning of that movie, and then he's Old Man Diego and the rest of it. He's just a great actor anyway. You know, Alain Delon, Duncan Regger, like I already mentioned, lots of great actors have played Zorro. Uh, George Hamilton played two Zorros. That was maybe a little more controversial, but yeah. Drop your favorite Zorro actor in the comments because I'm curious as to see like who everybody's favorite is, and also have you read the original novel, The Mark of Zorro? Because it's actually a really fun book. It's a classic example of pulp fiction. So I would highly recommend that to anybody who, if you like the character of Zorro, yeah, go back and read the book because that's where it all started, and it still holds up today. So that's pretty much it for this time. Thank you for spending a little bit of your day with me. I will talk to you later. Bye.